Construction of an oil production platform. Appomattox Field is one of the largest oil deposits in the Gulf of Mexico. The British-Dutch company Shell built a new generation platform in order to extract oil there. Its dimensions are astonishing, 16 stories high and about 2 football fields wide. The rig weighs even more than an aircraft carrier. Construction took about 4 years and took place in Gyeonggi in South Korea. Several hundred engineers faced a real challenge. They had to build the most environmentally friendly, durable and large platform Shell had ever made. The plan called for a minimum lifespan of 40 years, double the lifespan of nearly all platforms built in the past. The complex construction process was broken down into several stages. The individual modules were first made in an onshore workshop. They were then lifted with a huge crane and assembled into a single structure. This took place on the water. The builders themselves described the entire process as assembling a giant three-dimensional puzzle. Traditional oil rigs run on diesel fuel. In this case, however, it was decided to use electricity to make the project more environmentally friendly. The power of the generators installed on board reaches 150 megawatts. This is enough to supply electricity to about 100,000 homes. But the engineers encountered a problem. The production of such an amount of electricity releases a huge amount of heat. Estimates showed that about 2.5 million barrels of water would be needed daily to cool the plants. By comparison, that's roughly the same amount of water needed per day for a city of 2 million people. This was too much for a platform that was supposed to be green. So, the engineers came up with an extremely interesting solution. Cooling water is taken from great depths, where its temperature is much lower. As a result, this reduced its consumption by half. Platform transport. Construction is not the only challenging part of launching oil platforms. The second most difficult challenge is transportation. To get from the South Korean shipyard to the Gulf of Mexico, the platform has to travel 14,500 miles. The platform has to travel through the East China Sea, the South China Sea, the Indian Ocean, and then the Atlantic Ocean. Heavy lift ships are responsible for transporting such huge multi-ton structures. Their construction is unique. The deck is first submerged, allowing the platform to be placed above it. Then, when the deck is raised back up, the cargo is firmly secured above water and is now ready to be transported. In this case, the Chinese vessel Qingguanghua, with a lifting capacity of about 98,000 tons, was chosen for the task. Note that the weather conditions made things even harder. It turned out that a massive storm was approaching the shipyard from the Pacific Ocean. In order to avoid being affected by it, the work had to be accelerated considerably. The work crew alone was tripled for a short period of time. Then, as the platform was already approaching the Gulf of Mexico, it was hit by Hurricane Harvey. Fortunately, all difficulties were overcome. After a 6-month layover in Ingleside, Texas, where the last construction work was completed, the platform finally arrived at its final destination. First launch. Starting the circulation system in the platform and its official launching are extremely important events for all the people involved in the project. After all, this was preceded by 7 years of hard work. That's how long it took for the drawings and plans to turn into a real multi-ton structure. What you see on your screen now is the result, which required more than 15 million man-hours. Drilling. However, before an oil production platform can begin operation, a floating drilling rig must first drill the bottom of the ocean. Planning for this step can also take years. Specialists carefully study the sea floor to select the most suitable location to achieve maximum productivity and safety. In the case of Appomattox, the Gulf at its location is 1.5 miles deep. The oil itself is found even deeper, about 2.6 miles below the sea floor. Oil extraction. An oil production platform is more complicated than it seems at first sight, and it's not limited to the above-water structure alone. Before transportation begins, an underwater pipe system known as a Christmas tree is installed on the seabed. In this case, it consists of about 200 miles of complex piping connected to various types of equipment. In simple words, this system allows to regulate well operation modes and control the flow direction of the oil products. The total weight of this structure is 200,000 pounds. The life and work of the employees. Oil production platforms can be hundreds of miles offshore, so personnel not only work but also live on them. Work shifts usually last several weeks. The number of personnel can reach a couple of hundred people, and comfortable living conditions are created for all of them. Workers live in small rooms, 2 people in each. They spend their free time in special game and music rooms. Separate employees are hired to serve the staff as well. They clean the cabins, work in the kitchen, and laundry. By the way, they do 3,500 pounds of laundry a day. Oil tankers. A single oil production platform can extract up to 5 million tons of raw materials per year. This huge mass requires timely shipment. Special oil tankers are responsible for this task. They're created exactly for transportation of crude oil and petroleum products. During their whole service life, they travel in turns between the production sites and the refineries. Every year, they carry 2 billion tons of crude oil around the world. Oil refining. Oil refineries are so large that they look more like small towns than factories. In all, more than 70 different kinds of products can be made from oil, but in any case, the process always begins by removing salt, water, and other impurities that can cause corrosion. The next step is heating the oil to 680 degrees Fahrenheit. The fact is that oil consists of substances that have different boiling points. Therefore, during gradual heating, special fractions are released in stages. There are 4 of them in total. The 3 light ones are subsequently used to produce gasoline, kerosene, and diesel fuel. The last fraction is the heaviest and the darkest, fuel oil. After separation into fractions, a secondary processing follows. The future fuel is refined and then again divided into light and heavy mass. The latter is processed separately. In this way, the manufacturers improve its quality. In the last stage of production, different masses of petroleum products are mixed and special additives are added. This is how different types of gasoline are produced. Fuel tanker loading procedure. Special gas trucks are used to deliver gasoline from refineries to refueling stations. They don't differ much from ordinary trucks, but there are 2 main differences. First, their body has been replaced by a cistern. The second is that these vehicles have a much higher class of durability and fire safety, as they carry potentially hazardous materials. To use the equipment more conveniently, cisterns have a drain mechanism and openings for loading. The pressure inside the tank is regulated by special valves. Pumping fuel to a gas station. The last step in the cycle of turning oil into a product ready for sale is loading it into the fuel dispensers used by motorists. This procedure is not complicated and is performed by 1 or 2 people. A hose and a pump are connected to the fuel dispenser outlet, and the latter is responsible for pumping the material.